You wouldn't ignore a flickering light in your living room, would you? If that bulb kept blinking on and off, you'd check the wires, maybe call an electrician, and fix the issue before it caused something worse, like a short circuit or even a fire. But here's the question. What if your body was doing the exact same thing, sending tiny warning signals, and you just brushed them off? A sudden wave of fatigue, a strange headache that comes and goes, a brief moment when your balance feels off. You chalk it up to getting older. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Maybe it's just stress. But for too many seniors in America, that quiet dismissal becomes a fatal mistake. Right now, this very moment, someone in the US is suffering a stroke or heart attack every 40 seconds. Every 40 seconds. And over half of them, they never saw it coming. Not because they weren't paying attention, but because the warning signs were too subtle, too brief, and far too easy to misread. You've probably heard the term mini-stroke before, but do you really understand what it means or how dangerous it can be? A mini-stroke, or what doctors call a TIA, might last just a few minutes. It might not leave any damage at all. But here's the part that no one tells you. For 1 in 3 people, that mini-stroke is a final warning, a preview of a full-blown, life-altering stroke coming in just a few days. That's why you must hear this today, because your body is talking to you, and we're going to show you exactly how to listen before it's too late. So what exactly is a TIA? TIA stands for Transient Ischemic Attack. Most people just call it a mini-stroke. It sounds small, even harmless. The symptoms come on fast, and then, just as quickly, they disappear. You might slur a few words, feel a little off balance, or have a moment of numbness in your arm or face. Then suddenly, you're fine again. No pain, no collapse, no ambulance. So what's the big deal? Here's the truth. A TIA is not harmless. It's not something you sleep off or wait and see. It's a fire alarm inside your brain. It's your body yelling, "Something is wrong! Blood flow to the brain is blocked." What makes it so dangerous is exactly what makes it easy to ignore. A TIA doesn't always leave damage. The clot might dissolve on its own. The blood may reroute. And just like that, the symptoms vanish. But that temporary relief is exactly what tricks people into staying silent, into thinking it was nothing, into missing their one shot to stop a real, permanent stroke. Medical research is clear. About 1 in 3 people who have a TIA will go on to suffer a major stroke, often within just days or weeks. Not years, not months, days. And if that full-blown stroke hits, it can rob you of your ability to speak, to walk, to remember your children's names, or to survive at all. And here's something else you need to know. The CDC reports that up to 80% of strokes could be prevented if we catch and treat the warning signs early. That's not just a statistic, that's hope. But that hope only matters if we stop ignoring these small episodes. A flicker in the brain is no different than a flicker in that light bulb. It means something. It's wrong. It's your job now to notice it and act. Let's be clear. What makes a mini-stroke so deadly is not how strong it is. It's how weak it appears to be. There are 2 things about TIA that turn it into one of the most dangerous, most overlooked threats for people over 60. The first, it's short. A TIA can come and go in under 15 minutes. One moment you're feeling strange. Maybe you can't form a sentence or your hand feels numb. And then just as quickly, it's gone. No lingering pain, no bruising, no outward signs to point to. That's exactly what tricks so many people. When something goes away, we feel relieved. We think, "I'm fine now, it passed." But that brief window was your brain's emergency flare. And if you miss that flare, you may not get another chance. The second reason? It's mild. TIA symptoms often feel like everyday issues. a little dizziness, some trouble concentrating. Maybe you chalk it up to being tired, or aging, or a skipped meal. This is especially dangerous for older adults. As we age, we naturally experience more moments of fatigue, forgetfulness, or unsteadiness. But when those changes happen suddenly, sharply, and without explanation, they're not just getting older, they're red flags. Medical experts have warned, too many seniors mistake TIA symptoms for normal aging, and that delay in action is exactly what leads to tragedy. So here's your new rule of thumb. If something unusual comes on fast and feels off, don't brush it aside. Don't wait for it to come back. Don't assume it's nothing, because nothing could be the last warning before everything changes.
So now that you know why TIAs are so dangerous, it's time to talk about how they show up. These are the signs, some obvious, some incredibly subtle, that your brain may be in trouble. You don't need to have all of them. Even one could be enough to take seriously. And remember, the key word with each of these is sudden. If it hits out of nowhere and it feels off, you need to act. Let's go through them. 1. Sudden symptoms that vanish quickly. This is the most deceptive of all. You might feel weak for 5 minutes, or lose vision in one eye for just 30 seconds. Maybe your words come out jumbled for a minute or two, and then everything feels fine. That's the classic mini stroke. It shows up fast, and it disappears fast. But just because you feel better doesn't mean the risk is gone. In fact, that short episode may have just bought you a few days before something much worse hits. 2. Symptoms that seem like normal aging. You feel a little dizzy, or maybe you forget what you were just saying. Maybe you drop your keys and wonder why your hand feels funny. You tell yourself, I'm just getting older. But here's the key. Was it sudden? Was it different from how you normally feel? Aging doesn't usually come in sharp, unexpected waves. TIA does. 3. Sudden slurred speech or trouble speaking. You know what you want to say, but the words come out slow, broken, or slurred. Maybe your tongue feels heavy, or maybe people look at you strangely and say, "What did you just say?" It could be a moment of aphasia, the brain struggling to access words, or dysarthria, where your muscles can't form speech correctly. Either way, your brain isn't getting enough blood, and it's warning you. 4. Confusion or trouble understanding others. You're in the middle of a conversation and suddenly nothing makes sense. You can't follow what someone is saying, or simple instructions feel overwhelming. This isn't just forgetting a name, it's like your brain's wires are temporarily crossed. That kind of confusion, especially if it comes on fast, needs immediate attention. 5. Weakness or numbness, especially on one side. One of the classic stroke symptoms is sudden weakness or numbness on just one side of your body, your face, your arm, your leg. You might raise both arms and one drifts downward. Or you smile and notice one side of your face isn't moving. This happens because each side of the brain controls the opposite side of your body. If blood flow is interrupted on the left, your right side may be affected. 6. Sudden dizziness or loss of balance. This isn't just standing up too fast. We're talking about a sudden inability to walk straight or feeling like the room is spinning around you. You might feel off balance, like your legs can't hold you. Some people describe it as vertigo, others as a strange swaying feeling. Either way, your brain's balance center, deep in the cerebellum, may be starved of oxygen. 7. Temporary changes in vision. Have you ever looked through a foggy window or felt like a curtain dropped over one eye? That's what some people experience during a TIA. It could be blurry vision, double vision, or even temporary blindness in one eye, what doctors call amaurosis fugax. In some cases, you may see flashing lights or partial loss of vision in both eyes. These are not eye problems, they're brain warnings. 8. A sudden severe headache. This isn't your typical tension headache. People describe it as the worst headache of my life. It comes on fast, like a clap of thunder, and hits hard. In some cases, it's a sign that a blood vessel is under serious pressure or beginning to leak. If you've never had headaches and suddenly get one that feels unbearable, don't wait it out. Call 911. 9. A tingling or pins and needles feeling. This strange sensation, called paresthesia, can feel like ants crawling under your skin. It usually affects the face, arm, or leg on just one side. It may start in your fingers and move up your limb. This isn't the same as your foot falling asleep. It's a sign that the brain's sensory centers aren't receiving proper blood flow. And 10. Brief loss of consciousness or graying out. This one can be terrifying. Some people feel like they're about to faint, others actually black out for a few seconds. It's called presyncope or syncope. And during a TIA, it can happen when blood to the brainstem, the area that keeps you alert, is interrupted. Even a moment of blackout should never be ignored. Let's pause for a second here because I want to drive something home. Each one of these symptoms is serious on its own, but what makes them truly dangerous is that they often pass quickly. You feel better, you convince yourself it was just fatigue, you go on with your day. But stroke experts have made this clear. Ignoring that one moment could be the decision that changes the rest of your life. So if you or someone you love experiences any of these signs, even for just a few minutes, do not wait. Call 911, get to the hospital, tell them you suspect a TIA. Because fast action doesn't just save time, it saves your brain.
When it comes to stroke and mini-stroke, time isn't just important, it's everything. Doctors use a simple 4-letter word to help people recognize and respond quickly. That word is fast. Let me break it down for you. F is for face. Ask the person to smile. Does one side of the face droop? A is for arms. Ask them to raise both arms. Does one arm drift down? S is for speech. Ask them to repeat a simple sentence. Is the speech slurred or strange? T is for time. If you notice any of these signs, call 911 immediately. Don't wait to see if it gets better. Don't try to drive yourself. Don't assume it's nothing. Because here's the truth. During a stroke, brain cells die every single second. Literally. That's why doctors say time is brain. If you or someone you love show signs of a stroke or TIA, even if it's just for a minute, act fast. That call could be the difference between recovery and lifelong disability, or worse. This isn't about fear, it's about power. The power to respond, the power to survive.
Now, you might be thinking, this is scary, but does it really apply to me? Let's talk about that. Because while a mini-stroke can happen to anyone, certain people, especially over 60, are at much higher risk. If you check off even 2 or more items from this list, you need to pay very close attention. Do you have high blood pressure? That's the #1 risk factor. Do you live with type 2 diabetes? It increases stroke risk significantly. Are your cholesterol levels high? That means your arteries may be narrowing. Have you been told you have atrial fibrillation or an irregular heartbeat? That can lead to clots. Do you smoke now or in the past? Smoking weakens blood vessels over time. Do you lead a mostly inactive lifestyle? Sitting too much affects circulation. Have you ever had a previous TIA or stroke? That raises your odds dramatically. And finally, is there a family history of heart attack or stroke? If you answered yes to any of these, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. This isn't about labeling yourself as sick, it's about knowing where you stand. Because when you know, you can take control. You can change your course. You can protect your future. You just have to be willing to look and act before it's too late.
So the question becomes, what can you do? How do you protect yourself or your spouse, your sibling, your friend from a devastating stroke after a mini one? The first and most important step is this: don't ignore the signs. If you or someone you love experiences any sudden symptom we discussed, Call 911. Don't wait for it to happen again. Don't wait for proof. The first time may be the only warning you get. Next, talk to your doctor. Ask about your blood pressure. Ask about stroke risk. If you've had odd episodes, trouble speaking, numbness, strange headaches, mention them, even if they've passed, especially if they've passed. Ask for an MRI scan or carotid ultrasound. These tests can catch blockages before they become deadly. And if needed, your doctor may prescribe medication to thin your blood or manage your heart rhythm. And finally, take your health seriously. Eat smarter, move more, sleep better, stay connected. The basics matter more than ever now. Because prevention isn't about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to live on your terms, to stay in your home, to enjoy your grandkids, to wake up tomorrow knowing you did something today that just might save your life.
What you've learned today could save a life, not just your own, but maybe your spouse's, maybe your best friend's, maybe someone you sit next to at church or see every morning on your walk. Mini strokes are quiet. They don't scream, but they do whisper. And if we listen, really listen, we can stop something far worse from ever happening. So please share this video with someone you care about, because knowledge is powerful, but shared knowledge saves lives. If this message resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell so you never miss another life-saving tip. And in our next video, we're going to reveal one surprisingly common breakfast food that's silently increasing stroke risk for millions of Americans over 60. You won't want to miss it. Until then, stay informed, stay proactive, and take good care of your heart and your brain.